So I am going to propose, the best thing for our kids, the best thing, I'm not going to deny it. The best thing for our kids is to be in school 5 days a week. That's the best thing we could do. But it's not feasible right now. Our kids need to be safe. Our staff needs to be safe. There's so many unknowns out there. We don't know what's going to happen with kids. We know that there have been schools, countries, the gentleman mentioned the other night and already seen it. Israel shut down their schools. We've had major COVID outbreaks in daycare centers. Summer camps, they're outside. So it's not even inside. Kids have died. It's not a 0% chance for kids to die of COVID. Kids have died. And we know that adults have died. Way more people have died of COVID than they have of the flu in a year. And we shut down pretty much the whole country for a month or so. And still that many more people have died. So what I'm going to propose to the board is that we start school as we were planning, a couple of weeks virtual, but my proposal is that everybody comes back on a regular, the teachers come back on the teacher work weeks. We have those 2 weeks of teacher work week. School starts virtually on August 17th, and then we stay virtual for the first 9 weeks until October. And the reason for that would be, why do we need to be the guinea pigs to see what happens when the schools open up? Sadly, I don't want anybody to get sick in the state, in the country, but why do we need to be the guinea pig? Let's see what's happening in other divisions. Let's see what's happening with the COVID numbers across the state. That will give our staff, that will give our people to maybe do some simulations, to get into the classroom, work it out, see what's happening with the buses. Work everything out. They have a good amount of time to get everything fixed, everything done, and then come 2 weeks before the end of the quarter, we get a report on what's it look like. Does it look like we could go back to level one. We don't know.
On Tuesday, our governor stated yet again that he's leaving reopening plans to the school boards. What he doesn't mention is that the school board must have their plans approved by the VDOE, Department of Health, as well as comply with standards that he released in June. What he doesn't say to the public as he's passing the buck so graciously to the local level is how difficult it is to meet those standards under normal budget constraints, but adding new restrictions that require additional resources while having resources cut from the state and local level is absurd. The public doesn't hear those things. They hear reopening is up to my board. A return to a full schedule at full occupancy is just not permissible. We can't open the schools without Virginia Department of Education and Department of Health plan submission. Under current restrictions, we would need to triple our square footage of building space to meet the new social distancing requirements, and the 1,044 bus runs per shift would increase to over 3,000. Obviously, those are just two examples of how the every kid, everyday option is just not feasible under current conditions. Few divisions around the state are comfortable with accepting a higher level of liability than we are. To parents and students, comparing the spring virtual program to that plan to be administered beginning this fall is like comparing apples to oranges. The programs will differ in many ways. The spring instructions from the state were spontaneous. It was an emergency system that stressed review and maintaining skills. With this new year, brings new information, accountability, specific login times, grading, more interaction, and more planning for the teachers. It is unfair to judge your expectations for the 2021 virtual year on the concluding months of last school year.
Okay, so I'm just going to be straightforward. We've asked the questions, the intricate questions that we all could come up with about the day-to-day operations, and of course, nothing's for free. And so I would like to know what would be, in your opinion, as a superintendent and a leader here, the cost-effective scenario or roadmap going from here? Would it be virtual, or the hybrid is a little, which one in your opinion, as far as taxpayer dollars?
Let me unpack that, because you're asking me what I think is cost effective versus what I would believe is less costly. And so I think that it's more cost effective to invest more in our students and staff than less. And that would mean providing more in-person opportunities. Certainly it's going to cost less when you aren't, needing certain resources, and you're not running buses, and you're not, or at the level that you normally would. So I'm sure there's a host of savings. But that's not why we exist. We don't exist to save money. We exist to invest it in the services that we're here to provide. So my preference would be to maximize our funds and to get more to help us provide, especially during a time of crisis, where the needs of our students and staff have escalated, that they have, and we were describing back in the budget time how our needs have grown before that. So now I really believe that it's more cost effective to do all we can to reach our students in a multitude of ways, not just one. And as we said earlier, we know that the 100% distance learning is probably the easiest to navigate in terms of both cost and in terms of safety. But I also know that we have 24,000 students who have a lot of needs. And so the reason that we went with a hybrid model was to try to at least get closer to a more equitable approach. But as I said earlier, if we can't go there, we can't go there. But I don't view it as, it's certainly, I know there are some school systems that maybe even are thinking about just going cost effective would be to just do what we normally do, which is not to have a hybrid or an all distance learning plan for everybody. It would be to have students be able to go every day. And that would be definitely cost effective, but it would not be safe from our perspective.
So thank you for saying that, just so the public can get the information directly from you. And I also have a couple of questions, and I know a lot has been shared publicly and out communication-wise as far as our federal dollars may be cut if we don't go back to school. And so where are we with that as far as federal falling underneath, staying within the federal guidelines, that where we wouldn't be involved with, I guess, our federal funds being held back?
Well, that whole, the last couple of weeks have just confounded me. I'm not really sure what is being referenced in terms of some of this absurd pressure to open up without any consideration for safety, or that I think I've heard double speak on that. I've heard that it's a local decision, but that if we don't open up fully, that something could happen in terms of our funding. So I right now don't know how that would be done unless Congress supported some kind of a reduction in funding if we did not meet certain opening guidelines. But at this point, we are not anticipating that we would have any federal dollars reduced, as long as we are utilizing them and meeting the standards and the requirements and the guidelines that those dollars are supposed to be used for. So right now, we don't have anything that would suggest that we, and even if we did, I would certainly not be recommending to the board a plan that I would consider unsafe because of some sort of bizarre pressure that's being placed on us right now.
Okay, so we have a motion on the floor by Ms. Shelley. starting the hybrid for the Return to Learn plan on the 12th of October, which would be the end of the first grading period. So we have a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second her motion.
So we have a second by Mr. Abusmal. So properly moved and seconded. Any questions? Miss Grampp.
Would you be open to a substitute motion that says what you stated, with the exception of those with connectivity problems, could start, we would open up 3 locations, an elementary, middle school, and high school, and allow them to have in-person learning?